Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SM Movie Reviews, and today we are taking a look at the debut album from LSD titled Labrinth, Sia Diplo present LSD. Let's get to it. So, as the title of this album suggests, this is a supergroup of Sia, Labrinth, and Diplo. And honestly, this is a really interesting collaboration group. A lot of them, all three of these artists have a lot of really interesting qualities about them. They're all definitely songwriters, and that is a quality that really does help them here because they all have a lot of eccentricities in their music writing style, and sometimes that's toned back when they're writing for other people. But here, they let it all shine, and I will just say that I think that that is a really good look for some of these artists. Especially Sia, an artist who I have incredible respect for, an incredible voice, and can make really, really good music. That being said, sometimes she's just a little too toned back. She's not quite out there enough, and I think that that sometimes hurts her, which is a strange thing to say, but I think that sometimes she has to go a little more out there to really connect as well with how eccentric she is just in her voice and really what works with her. And this collaboration really does work. Obviously, the big hit was Thunderclouds, and it is an excellent song. It's really interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that are added into this song, and each of their styles are very dominant throughout that track. Now, Labrinth and Sia are the two vocalists, as Diplo's more of a songwriter and producer type, but those two vocalists, they are both incredible, and they bounce off of each other really well because they both have really powerful voices, but in different ways. Labrinth is much more of a soulful gospel sort of vocals, which is a really good, he is an incredible vocalist. And then we have Sia, who does kind of have some of that soulful tinge to her voice, but ultimately she just does have a lot more of that pop flair in her vocal stylings. Couple them together and they complement each other really excellently, and Thunderclouds is an excellent example of that. They trade off between verse and chorus, and it works really well. And once we get the full album here, honestly, I think it works. The whole thing does work really well. I don't think that there's necessarily any moments that are too poor. It doesn't mean this album's perfect up front. I'll say some of the flaws I have with this album. There may be a forgettable track, and then we do have an intro song, and then we have a remixed version of Genius, which features Lil Wayne. And the shortness of this album ultimately being about 8 songs, and those songs even are fairly short, along with the fact that so many of these were released as singles. It almost more feels like they were trying to just release a bunch of singles and go, well, at this point we've got an album, let's just push the album out. And that's not necessarily what was happening, but it is what it feels like, as a lot of these do just seem more like standalone tracks, not necessarily an album, but just a collection of really good songs. But that being said, it is a collection of really good songs. Genius is an excellent song, a track that we see Labrinth taking the lead on this song, and he comes in with some strings backing him up in production as he enters with a really over-the-top sort of personality and vocal delivery. It's a really good song, and the track listing just continues to provide really good tracks. Heaven Can Wait is one of those songs where Sia just soars. Her voice is definitely the highlight here. And then Angel in Your Eyes is a track with some really interesting, almost 8-bit sort of instrumentation. It's different, it's unique, and that's the thing that I love about this. As I said, these artists are ones that actually are complemented by being unique, and it works really well here. I know I'm much more positive on this than a lot of critics, and while I try to avoid a lot of critical reviews before I go into an album, this is one of those albums that I really was just interested to hear what people would say, because it's very different. There's a lot of interesting things that happen here, a lot of unique instrumentation, and generally just truly different ideas that they decide to implement. And I was just interested. I was interested in what other people would say, and ultimately it's been kind of lukewarm on the critical reception. But for me, I do truly enjoy this. I think that each of them sound really good and provide a really good and important role to this project. They really add a lot. It's a great project. I do think that there are problems, obviously, because as I said, it does just kind of feel like a collection of songs, all kind of thrown into one little project. Yeah, it's really short, and ignoring the remix, because honestly, the remix with Lil Wayne is simply worse. Labrinth is just a better vocalist than Lil Wayne and provides more to the track, but that being said, it doesn't necessarily make it a terrible song. It's just a rehash that was unnecessary when there's a far superior original version. Ultimately, it is a good project. And never do they really stick to one formula. There's a lot of different sounds, as I've mentioned, but even then, they really can mix things up because there are guitars in some tracks. There are much more synthesized elements in some tracks. They keep it very separated. If I want to bring up one track that didn't connect with me, which I know isn't necessarily the popular opinion, would be Audio. It's a more subdued track, and it just doesn't really work for me, at least. It's much slower and a lot less interesting. Not nearly as many unique ideas are implemented here. None of the vocalists are allowed to shine. The instrumentation is fairly stripped back, and ultimately, it doesn't sound like anything new. A lot of these songs do just come across as something new, but not this song. This song just kind of seems like the same old, same old. So while some may not have quite as deep of an appreciation for this project as I do, I really do like it. A 7.5 out of 10 easily. And if they choose to continue collaborating, honestly, I only see them getting better. I think that this was just because of the things that I mentioned. I do think that it can get better, and it's not that I feel that this was a rushed project by any means, or one where they were just experimenting, because a lot of the songs, and even the first 3 songs they released, I mean, it shows that they know what they're doing. They have an idea of the sound that they want to make, and they stick to it. I don't feel like it's that they hadn't experimented enough, as much as it was just short, and it felt like a collection of singles. If they really came together and made an album, an actual project where they tried to make it a little more cohesive, yeah, this would be a lot better, and I'm really excited for that. I don't know if there's plans for more, but I sure hope so, because man, this is good, and I mean that. But what did you guys think? Please let me know down below. Also, is there anything I can do to improve the quality of my videos or the upcoming album you'd like me to check out? I do really appreciate you guys watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me, and I will see you guys in the next review.